So the Israeli strikes on Gaza have intensified over the past few days, leading to more and more casualties. What do you make of this escalation?
I think the Israeli, as you mentioned, now they are continue to bombing Gaza, to attack all the even the hospitals, and also the places that the refugees go there, which is should be security by the law. The Israeli is also want and they practice the genocide there. What they want, the Israeli, they want an area without any residents from Gaza. They continue to bombing. What is the purpose? The purpose is that they said that there is a missiles launched from Gaza, and also they said that they don't want anyone to stay on the north of Gaza. And because of this, we witnessed that many of the disaster there, many of the casualties, thousands of people have been killed because of the Israeli didn't want to anybody to stay there in this area. So this is the reason. And as you know, the Israeli continue to practice the genocide in this area. In their mind, as Netanyahu said, that by fire, by killing the people, they could, that give some of the new conditions from Hamas to be given up by Hamas, and this is like what he said, it's like something win a victory for him. So this is blackmail. He want to kill the people in order to get more less conditions from Hamas to release the hostages there.
Of course, we have the mediators from Egypt and Qatar and the United States facilitating the negotiations. But when it comes to the recent intensification of the airstrikes, how does that impact the ongoing ceasefire talks?
Yes, I think it will be negatively impact because that's when they kill the people and they bombing and also they destroy the hospitals and they continue to practice the genocide. I think it will be affect negatively on the talks in Qatar, and also at the same time, it's more complicated. That's mean when we are talking about the practice of Israeli to killing the people in north of Gaza, and in the same time there is negotiation in Qatar. Really, it's negatively, as I said. And by this way, Israeli government or Netanyahu, he tried to send a letter and message to Hamas that he will continue to kill and bombing and attacking because nobody is response or stop him in order to get more give up from Hamas to his conditions. But I think there is something under the table, as we noticed and we heard from the news that there is Israeli delegation in Qatar. He come back to Israel yesterday, and today it's supposed to that the head of intelligence of the Mossad of the Israeli intelligence go to Qatar, but they postponed it. I think Netanyahu is every time try to that's to push on all the mediators in order to get more that's in things good for Israel, to push on or pressure on Hamas in order to less more restriction by their demands.
Well, Hamas, of course, has reportedly agreed to release a list of 34 Israeli captives as part of the negotiations. Is that a significant development?
Yes, I think it's significant development. It is one of the demands that have been, or conditions by Hamas, by the mediators from Hamas. I think it was in the last December. So Hamas response, and it was more flexible to the demands and the negotiation in Qatar last December. And they mentioned about 34 hostages, their names alive. And this is Hamas, what Hamas have been requested from Hamas, they fulfill it. So they provide the mediators with the name of the hostages, while in the same time now the Israeli government should also respond positively by give some indicators or some positive things, which like to cease fire and also to stop killing the people there. But until now, as you know, today we noticed that maybe about from 60 to 70 people have killed in Gaza. Today, Israeli, they expand their bombing in all Gaza, the north and the south, and also in the middle. And also at the same time, they bombing the hospitals, Indonesian hospitals, and also the refugee places where, like in Anorwa, in the schools. Until now, there is no any response from the Israeli because also today the cabinet met to discuss also the deal of the hostages. But until now, there is no any response. And also today, as you know, the consultants or the from the American went to Qatar, and also at the same time, the statements of Blinken that in 2 weeks they should release the hostages and they should reach to agreement before Trump come to the administration.
And Doctor, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is, of course, worsening on a daily basis. How does that crisis, how does the suffering of human beings in Gaza make a sustainable ceasefire more likely? Does it make it more likely? Do the parties even care about the humanitarian crisis?
I think from the Israelis, they are not care. From the Israeli side, they are not care. They are caring for even for their hostages. As you know, there are many videos that they mentioned that the government of Israel, especially the declaration and the statement of the Smotrich and Ben Gvir, they are not care with even the 100 hostages. They are just want to still and continue killing the people there, regardless the South, as you mentioned about the miserable condition in Gaza, the cold, the starvation, the death of many of the children. Today, one of the children, 34 days, killed, also died because of the cold and also because of the lack of that's the food. So the humanitarian crisis in Gaza for the Israeli is not, they are not care for this. But I think for Hamas, Hamas mentioned that they want to go ahead and more flexible in order to change the situation and because the responses to the people they are suffering in Gaza. And also at the same time, I think also the Qatar also and Egypt, they are more now look to the conditions or the miserable condition in Gaza. So I hope that maybe in this week or next week before Trump is coming to the White House that there will be like statements about ceasefire. Otherwise, it will be catastrophic, and I think there will be more killing and miserable in Gaza. Something I want to mention is that the Israeli government, according to some, that's news, said that or mentioned that the Israeli want to continue, that's pushing on the people to go to the middle and to south of Gaza. And this is one of the reasons that the people in Gaza, even their response that they didn't want to leave their houses, even in the north of Gaza, regardless what Israel is doing there.
Now, Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu, you mentioned this before actually, has emphasized continued operations until the detainees are returned. Does this have an effect on any possible ceasefire?
Even that he mentioned this before, and from the beginning he said that he have two, that's purposes, which is to defeat Hamas and also to release the hostages, to return back to their home. But until now, he didn't do anything for these two purposes. He continued to, that's repeat these statements that he want to continue, the fire without. يعني, he continued to kill the people. He wanted to bomb Gaza and to push in Hamas. And he said that he will not go to ceasefire until the hostages will be released. I don't think this is realistic. Now, I think even the Israeli the public in Israel now they uh, started to know that this is statement from Netanyahu is not realistic. He just didn't want to go to ceasefire, not because of that he want to go to victory or to push in Hamas, because he is afraid that the next day, which is the ceasefire, he will go to another place, maybe to the jail. So this is the things that the people now in Israel start to think to more realistic that Netanyahu is not said the truth to the people of Israel.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Q News, Dr. Makki, from occupied Jerusalem. Thank you very much for joining us here on Q News.